Hello again. Hello, everyone. I suggest that we get started. Welcome to the webinar, Skills Development in the Tourism Sector Post-COVID, Cooperation between Australian TAFEs and Indonesia. My name is Eva Filipiak, and I'm the Director, International Engagement at TAFE Directors Australia. TDA is the peak body representing Australia's national network of publicly owned technical and further education institutes, university TAFE divisions, and the Australia Pacific Technical College. TAFEs offer a range of vocational education and training courses, both accredited and non-accredited, across most of Australia's core skills occupation, and have a long experience in supporting learners and organisations meet their training needs. Many TAFEs also offer higher education courses, English language or ELICOS courses, and international teacher training or IST courses, aimed at strengthening trainer capability in competency-based training delivery and assessment. TAFEs have also strong capability in online and blended learning, dating even prior to COVID-19, and have recently shared their experiences with Indonesian counterparts through a series of webinars delivered with the support of the International Labour Organization, Jakarta. For those of you interested, these webinars are available online and can be found on the ILO Jakarta YouTube channel. TAFEs have a long experience in working internationally and have supported skills development in Indonesia for many years in a range of industry areas and with a variety of partners, including government ministries, local education providers, and businesses. We will present to you today 2 case studies of cooperation in the area of tourism and hospitality between 2 large Australian TAFEs, TAFE Queensland and William Angliss Institute, and their Indonesian partners, AIPRO Training Centre and the ASEAN Secretariat. The aim of the webinar is to showcase ways our 2 countries can work together and offer training solution at a time of great challenges for the tourism and hospitality sector stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic. We hope that the webinar will give you some ideas of possible areas of collaboration and lead to new partnership opportunities between TAFEs and Indonesian organizations. I have the pleasure of having with me today 4 distinguished speakers that I would like to introduce to you today. We have Janelle Chapman, Andrew Nugroho, Wayne Crosbie, and Eddy Krismeidi. They will be presenting their experience in working together in building skills in the Indonesian tourism and hospitality sector. Their presentations will be followed by a Q&A session, and I invite you to write down any questions you may have throughout the webinar in the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. I will first give the floor to Wayne and Eddy, but let me first introduce them to you. Wayne Crosbie is the Director International and Business Development at William Angliss Institute. Wayne has more than 40 years experience working in and with the tourism, hospitality, and events industry, identifying and developing commercial opportunities internationally, and steering the implementation of the Institute's internationalization strategy. Eddy Krismeidi Soemawilaga, I hope I pronounced it correctly, is currently the head of the Indonesia Affairs and Policy, Government Relations, Department of Indonesia AirAsia. He's also currently the Deputy President of the ASEAN Tourism Association. From 2007 to 2018, Eddy held various roles related to tourism and transportation at the ASEAN Secretariat, where he initiated, facilitated, and contributed to conclusions of key ASEAN initiatives, such as ASEAN Open Skies, ASEAN Single Aviation Market, and MRA on tourism professionals through close collaboration with key stakeholders from governments and the private sector. Wayne and Eddy, over to you. You have 20 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you for that introduction. You've made me feel very old, as you've indicated the amount of experience that I've been having in the tourism and hospitality space, and indeed with Indonesia. But I'm really pleased to be with you all this morning. And what I thought I might do initially is to give you a brief background about William Angliss Institute, although I expect quite a lot of you would be familiar with our organisation. But for those of you who are not, a quick snapshot, some examples of how we've been working cooperatively in Indonesia for some time. And then my very good friend and long-standing partner, Eddy Krismeidi, will give you some details about one of the projects that we've in fact been working on together for quite some time. I will share my screen and hopefully it's all going to work. Technology never lets us down. It has right there and then. Try it one more time.
Well, it wouldn't be exciting otherwise, right?
No, I'm having a bit of a problem here.
Okay.
So our rehearsal didn't work. Worked perfectly 5 minutes ago.
Would you like to start talking without slides for now?
Yeah, look, I will. That looks a bit better, doesn't it?
Okay, that looks good.
Sorry. Well, I go back to the start. This is why we're here. We are talking about skills development in the tourism sector and some of the cooperation between TAFEs in Australia and what we've done with Indonesia. Just quickly, my institute, William Angliss, we are a government specialist centre for tourism, hospitality, food and events. Just to give you an idea of some metrics, we have about 20,000 enrolments every year, and we're very pleased to be welcoming more than 4,000 international students to our campuses from all over the world. Graduates are very difficult to count, but we have an alumni of 400,000 plus, and we deliver a full suite of programs through the vocational space and into higher education, everything from short courses to master's degrees. But probably the work that we're best known for in Indonesia is the specific industry contextualised training that we've been able to do for both industry and government. Just quickly, our main head office campus is in Melbourne. We do have a campus in Sydney, and we have offices in every state and territory in Australia. We have campuses, 5 in fact in China. We have our own campus in Singapore, 1 in Sri Lanka, 2 in Vietnam and 1 in Thailand. Just to give you a very quick rundown in terms of our areas of speciality, I think just about every area of tourism, hospitality, food and events we do, and I'm not planning on going through each of those with you, but you can see that there is a really good spread of programs that we offer and in fact industry advisory services in those particular areas. Some of the work that we've done once again spans all aspects of industry. We've worked with all of the large hotel groups, and I'm sure you know those names there. Integrated resorts have been something that the world has been taken over by in the last 10 years. And we've done quite a lot of work in Macau and Singapore with those integrated resorts. Asset management companies looking after large-scale operations, we've been assisting them. And I think it's fair to say that everything you can see on the screen there has something to do with food, beverage, accommodation and events training. We've done quite a bit of work with airlines. We are very heavily involved with some major events, and we have indeed worked very closely with government bodies in a number of different countries, both national and regional. Our experience in Indonesia, it's more than 30 years from both my organisation's perspective and my own personal input. And as ever described before, the work that we've been doing has been with government, with industry and with education. Sometimes we're working with just one of those groups, but more often than not, we are working with all of those organisations together. Because really, if we're talking about skills development, particularly for our industry sector, we need cooperation, partnership and working together between industry, government and education. International students has been a very important component of our experience with Indonesia. We have more than 300 Indonesian students who study with us in Australia every year, and our Indonesian alumni is significant. And not only are we strong in numbers, but if you look at very successful businesses within the organisation, within the country, and that could be small businesses or it could be large tourism infrastructure, William Angliss graduates are at the forefront of that industry development. We've worked with government, industry and education before. We ran a program in between 2000 and 2003. And if there are any people who are around the system that long, you probably remember the Indonesia-Australia Partnership for Skills Development, where we worked very closely with Indonesia to move their tourism and hospitality industry along by really developing their competency standard framework and assisting with the development of resources, particularly human resources, to be able to deliver competency-based training and assessment in an effective manner. Some of our clients over the years, the Indonesian Hotels and Restaurant Association, AIPRO being the Association of Indonesian Tours and Travel Agents. We've worked closely with the Ministry of Education, closely with the Ministry of Tourism, particularly the STPs and polytechnics that they operate in Bali, Bandung, Medan and Ujung Pandang. We've done quite a bit of industry consulting work in Bali. So our experience with Indonesia is long and strong, and we hope that certainly continues into the future. Just a couple of minutes on what is going to happen to us all in this industry post-COVID. And we don't really know what the new normal is going to be like, but we know it's going to be different to what it was before. So William Angliss is positioning itself to assist in the rebuilding of the human resource capability, not only in Australia and Indonesia, but in various countries around the world. And the things that we'll probably be doing a little bit differently is that our courses are probably going to be shorter and more targeted. We'll be issuing micro credentials and skill sets. There'll be much more focus on compliance, and the COVID safety plans that organisations are going to require will be important for their ongoing success. There is no doubt that we will have to support entrepreneurship as it gets up and running again, and small business operation is the cornerstone of the tourism and hospitality industry worldwide. So we're certainly focusing on how we can assist in that process. The final comment I'd like to make before I hand over to my colleague Eddy is that since 2005, William Angliss has been working with the ASEAN Secretariat in helping to develop the framework for the Mutual Recognition Arrangement for Tourism Professionals. And that MRATP is being implemented in the 10 countries of ASEAN. What it involved is us working with the stakeholders that I mentioned before, industry, government and education, to develop the ASEAN Common Competency Standards for Tourism Professionals, to develop the Common ASEAN Tourism Curriculum, which was packaging those standards together, to develop a regional qualifications framework and skills recognition system to acknowledge those people who didn't have formal qualifications, but who had wonderful industry experience and skills. And then we developed 242 toolboxes for each one of those competency standards to help the delivery and assessment of effective tourism and hospitality standards across those 10 countries. We also viewed each particular country to see how ready they were to be able to implement the mutual recognition arrangement. We conducted a feasibility study into the establishment of a regional secretariat to assist that MRATP to be implemented effectively. And we designed and delivered master trainer and master assessor programs, as well as national trainer and national assessor courses to assist particularly Indonesia implement the ASEAN curriculum into the qualifications that they deliver, both at vocational higher education and indeed in the secondary sector. So that's a really quick snapshot of what William Angliss's history has been with Indonesia, and I apologise for talking too quickly and covering too much information in a short space of time. But as I mentioned, I'm sure some of you are pretty familiar with who we are. What I'd like to do now is to hand over to Eddy, who will be able to give you a more detailed analysis of the MRATP, the work that was done and its implementation. Thank you, Eddy.
Hey, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Eva, for invitation sent to me to participate in this webinar. I'm happy to share with you some of the view that I'm taking a role, especially when I was in the Secretariat. And now my contribution in this webinar is mostly in current position for myself as the Deputy President of ASEAN Tourism Association. Let me share my screen. Okay, I don't have much in terms of presentation, but I would like to take on what it's been said by Wayne earlier. Basically, what William Angliss has developed for ASEAN from 2004 up to 2017 is basically creating a regional references. Regional references that become a reference for individual ASEAN member states. Be it started with the ASEAN Common Compensation Standard for Tourism Professional, then followed by the Common ASEAN Tourism Curriculum, as well as Regional Qualification Framework and Recognition System. Then we have the toolboxes that comprises 242 units of toolboxes ranging from hotel and travel industry. On the left side, this is the mechanism of the MRATP, which I think the agreement itself has been signed by ASEAN member state in 2010. And you can see that ideally, if a person that receives a certificate utilizing the Common ASEAN Tourism Professional Standard, they will be allowed to work in other ASEAN countries utilizing certain mechanism. The mechanism in the central that would oversee the implementation mostly is the regional secretariat, which Wayne has described earlier, which I think this regional secretariat is actually has been signed on the agreement itself, and the regional secretariat itself is actually based in Jakarta, where Indonesia is actually the host of this regional secretariat. But unfortunately, due to certain mechanism that are within Indonesia, this regional secretariat regionalization has not been really fully implemented. Therefore, I think in the current situation, ASEAN has chosen to help, to ask for one guy to help this temporary implementation up to 2022. Then second, the regional secretariat itself will have in charge on these ATPRS, what we call ASEAN Tourism Professional Registration System. The left bottom is actually the website that they have for this ASEAN Tourism Professional Registration System, which the intention is actually to register those that have certified within each individual member state to ASEAN registration system. And in this platform, this tourism professional could be recruited by the industry, be it the industry within from the country itself, but also from the other ASEAN countries. So basically, this ATPRS is a platform for tourism professional to receive an invitation to work in other ASEAN countries. because currently there is no automatic movement within ASEAN region that would allow people to work from one country to another utilizing this MRA-TP. And on the right bottom side, this is the current qualification that is recognized under this MRA-TP. So be it currently we have only hotel and travel that is written in the agreement itself, covering housekeeping, front office, food production, F&B, as well as travel agencies and tour operation. But actually, from 2015 up to now, there are additional coverage that is being worked among ASEAN member states, covering spa services, MICE, as well as event. So in total, there'll be more coverage within this MRA-TP, which I think we can look at in the coming years to see. What is being done currently in terms of working? I think ASEAN countries is actually updating the ASEAN Common Compensation Standard for Tourism Professional, which has been started from 2019. And this, as you may know, that this ACC-STP is developed way long time ago, 2007 to 2008. So therefore, I think it's time for them to really look into this so as the revision could take place, because many developments have taking place in terms of industry and technology being utilized in the tourism and travel sector. At the same time, the development of toolboxes as well as curriculum for MICE and event professionals are being also undertaken, which I think this MICE is being led by Indonesia and event is being led by Thailand, which I think there are two countries that currently working together to develop these toolboxes in order for ASEAN to have a reference, again, I think in relation to this MICE and event sector. Then at the same time, because of the current new development under SPA, MICE, as well as event, the agreement to cover the mutual recognition arrangement itself is now currently being revised so as to include those coverage, which is a MICE event and SPA tourism standard. So that is currently being developed within the ASEAN region. And of course, within the itself, as I mentioned earlier, there are numbers of components that act as a regional reference within ASEAN that is being updated, with the scope now is covering 5 components, namely hotel, travel, spa professional, MICE, and events. But at the same time, I would like also to highlight some of the key challenges. As mentioned by Wayne earlier, that I think current COVID situation is really put the industry into really negative impact in terms of how we implement. It does also happen to us. I mean, myself in AirAsia, we are also very much affected by this current situation. So now reskilling and retraining of our event staff within the airline industry is taking place, so as to give them opportunity for other areas of work that is available currently. For example, in AirAsia Indonesia, recently we opened the logistic component or logistic sub company to really serve the logistic provider services within Indonesia, because logistic is not really affected much by the impact of the COVID. Instead, logistic is much more required. So therefore, I think there's another sector that we are looking at, and for that we are undertaking retraining and reskilling for our staff to join that company to really serve providing logistical services within Indonesia. The other 2 components that are challenges that I would like to highlight in this, of course, first one is actually the regional secretariat itself, which currently is not yet there. Therefore, I think in terms of implementation of MRA in ASEAN itself is not really there in terms of how we can really see there is a movement of professional within ASEAN. And second is actually on the ASEAN Tourism Professional Registration System, which actually is the work of the regional secretariat, which I think if you see or you visited that website currently, I think there's still not much that we can see. So I think I feel that this is a significant challenge that ASEAN is facing. And we are looking at on the possibility on how actually third party could also involve and help ASEAN in facing those challenges. And I think this is something that ASEANTA is working on it. Actually, we try to see how that ASEANTA as a regional partner could also contribute towards this undertaking. So I think that more or less 10 minutes of my presentation. I think it's more than 10 minutes for highlighting this development of work between ASEAN and William Angliss previously, and hope this could give you some insight. And perhaps later we can have more on the discussion afterward. I think thanks, Eva, for my session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wayne and Eddy. That was very interesting, and we look forward to coming back and maybe having a discussion around some of the ideas that you've introduced, including maybe some questions around best practices that are COVID safe in the sector, but as kind of hinted at by Wayne and Eddy, maybe some more discussion about how to address the challenges and move forward with the regional cooperation and skills recognition in your region. So let's move to the second case study that will be presented by Janelle and Andrew. Very quickly, some words of introductions to our next two speakers. Janelle Chapman is the Executive Director at TAFE Queensland International. Janelle oversees international business activities for TAFE Queensland, the larger vet provider in Queensland and winner of the 2019 International Training Provider of the Year, Australian Training Awards. With 30 years of experience working in vocational education and training, predominantly within international, Janelle has always been a strong advocate for the industry, and she's an active and valued member of a number of boards and committees at both the national and state level, including being the vet sector representative at the National Council for International Education, which in Australia brings together Australian government ministers with portfolio responsibilities in international education, as well as distinguished sector experts and practitioners. And Janelle has been also recently appointed as president of the International Education Association of Australia, which is a great achievement. So thanks, Janelle, for being here. And Andrew Nugroho is the director of PT Top Food Indonesia, which includes the fast food chain Teller 77 and PT Raja Top Foods production and distribution plant. Andrew is a third generation family member running the family company where he leads the business development and marketing activities. Andrew has led the company's transformation to become more customer focused and tech savvy. And Andrew has also strong ties with Australia, having completed his bachelor's degree in economics at the University of Sydney. So I will hand over to you, Janelle and Andrew, and I look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Eva. So just making sure you can see the screen. Can you?
Yes, all good.
Okay, thank you. All right, good morning, everyone. As Eddy said, I'm representing TAFE Queensland, but more importantly, we're here today to talk about how a partnership with an Indonesian partner is integral to making it work for both the provider in Australia and also the Indonesian partner. So we've had a long history with Andrew. We've had a big journey in as far as trying to work things to be able to be operationalised, to allow things to have an outcome for the students who are training with us. And so it has been a lot of challenges along the way and a lot of learnings, but the relationship is very important for both of us. So for those of you who don't know where Queensland is, so we're at the northern part of Australia, and we have very beautiful reefs, just like Indonesia does. We have 2,200 kilometres of coastline, which means that we have a very similar tourism and hospitality sector that Indonesia looks to. So our population is about 4 million, very small in Indonesian standards. We are the second largest state, and we have the majority of people who live on our coastline. So like Indonesia's islands, it's very much about the water around us. We have world-renowned natural attractions, and we have a very, nice lifestyle, as you can see from the photo. TAFE Queensland itself has been around for over 130 years. So we're a $760 million business entity, and we've gone from about a dozen students to over 7 million students over that time frame. Each year, we enrol about 122,000 students in a whole range of different disciplines. About 89% of our graduates go on to either employment or further study. So that's about students either going into a pathway with their vocational training into a higher education degree, or going direct into industry to meet the needs of industry. And we have a good student satisfaction rate. So we're spread all across Queensland with a mix of metropolitan, coastal and regional areas. Now this is very important for our work with Indonesia, because it means we can tailor or contextualise what we do based on our own experience in Queensland. So we might have a coastal area that focuses on marine tourism, but we might have a regional area that focuses on another type of tourism and hospitality. We have over 170 different programs that we deliver to international students across our 50+ campuses. And at the moment, we have about 2,500 international students from over 94 different countries. Now that's a bit lower than normal because of COVID, but it's certainly something we'd like to increase in the future. So what makes TAFE Queensland different? Well, apart from the fact that we're part of the TAFE Directors Australia portfolio, so TAFEs are generally owned or by government to a certain degree, but work in a different way at times. So they might be a statutory authority as their legal entity, just like TAFE Queensland, but it means that they have the ability to be more commercial and to be more nimble in the way we do business. And that helps obviously with working with overseas partners. We like to say that we deliver for global needs, not just local needs. So the work that we do with Andrew in Indonesia is all about delivering the tourism and hospitality standards for the global economy, not just for Australia and not just for Indonesia. One of our strong pieces of the puzzle is that we have very close links with industry. And that's really important because it means that students then become cognizant of what's required in industry and what the current benchmarks and standards are by the time they graduate. Our trainers must have at least 5 years experience in the industry that they're delivering in, but more importantly, must have currency in that industry. So they can't have taught or worked in the industry 20 years ago. They need to have currency so that they have the latest understanding about what happens. And that means that everything that they say in any type of classroom, whether it's virtual or face-to-face, is underpinned by their experience in that industry. We also provide work-ready skills for immediate job outcomes, and that's a really important component, again, of what we do. Most of our programs consist of classroom theory, a simulated work environment, so it might be a practice commercial kitchen or restaurant or nursing ward, whatever the industry area might be. And then the third component is work placement or work out in industry. And all three components are just as important as each other. We offer a wide variety of industry courses recognised throughout the world. We believe in supplying trainers that are for a global economy, again, not just to meet local needs. And we try hard to keep pace with global industry trends, sometimes a bit more difficult than others, but having partners in markets like we have with Andrew in Indonesia helps us to understand what the nuances are for that particular marketplace. So you can see that we have multiple areas of expertise and crossing a wide range of different industry sectors. So we sit in the vet sector, but we also deliver higher ed, we deliver vet in schools, and we deliver ELICOS. So the ability to be able to have a seamless pathway, either going up towards higher ed or a seamless pathway, for people in the higher ed sector to come back and do some vocational study is a really important part of the framework that we fit under. So our engagement with Indonesia. We have a long history of working with Indonesia and working with both government and industry. Indonesia has been a very important partner for TAFE Queensland for many years, right back to the days in the 90s when we did training in the Sheraton hotels across Indonesia. The work that we do with government is really important and has given us a really good footprint or entry into the market over the years. So we've worked particularly with the Ministry of Religious Affairs, Ministry of Education and Culture, the Ministry of Manpower and the Ministry of Home Affairs. We've worked with them in a variety of different ways, either training their staff to upskill, and it might be in things like understanding how vocational education works in Australia, or it might be with upskilling them in individual capacity. So they might upskill their own soft skills or leadership or management skills. The work that we've done with industry includes the work that we've done with Andrew with AIPRO. We've delivered training to tourism and hotels across Indonesia to understand what training needs to occur for people in the hospitality and tourism area. We do specific training for things like rail with PT Kai, cattle processing and agriculture. The other thing that we've done just recently is some work with training with vocational teachers in the Central Java province. And what we looked at was building their own capacity in their vocational space so that they can go on to deliver some of these programs later. We've also developed some very short little videos that can be used on mobile phones to be able to help with training in tourism, training in tourism and hospitality, to be able to allow people to learn English at the same time. So it's a very short 2-minute little vignette that has a case study or has a little bit of a role play with someone who might walk into a restaurant or might walk into a travel agency and knowing how that conversation might occur in English. So thank you. I'll just finish off. As Eva said, we're the 2019 International Training Provider of the Year, and we're very proud of that achievement. I'd like to introduce you to Andrew at the moment, and Andrew will talk in detail from the Indonesian partner's point of view about what he needs from Australian providers to make his job easy with training his own staff. So thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Janelle, and then thank you, Eva, for the opportunity for me to present my case study today. And hi, everyone. So today I'm going to present to you about our group of companies and how it came about to establish a training center called AIPRO. that offers various courses related to food and beverage businesses. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Andrew Nugroho. I'm a director of PT Top Food Indonesia. And like Eva said, I'm a third generation member of the family that manages this family company. The company's main business is in fast food with a well-known brand called SLR 77. Let me just share my screen so you can see. Okay. Okay, can you see it? Yes, okay, good. So it was started by my grandparents and my parents in 1982. It was a humble beginning. My grandmother won a cooking competition, making a simple but refreshing drink made up of fresh avocados, jackfruits, and coconuts. So she won the competition, then she became a national champion. With that, my grandparents and my parents decided to open a small shop selling the drinks and a few other snacks. And it became an overnight success. The drink itself, that is known as SLR, as you can see in my slide there, it's become a national delicacy. So from one little shop, they opened another one and another, and before they knew it, they already had opened up to 200 stores all over Indonesia. But unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic, we've had to close some of them down. So we are now down to 150 stores, but we still have one little shop in Melbourne, Victoria, in Australia. So over the years, the company has kind of expanded vertically. It has a very busy catering division. Our catering division won a contract to run the cafeteria and the other F&B outlets in the new Australian Embassy in Jakarta. In 2018, our catering division also won a contract to supply 18,000 portions of ready-to-eat meals per day to the organizers of Asian Games in Jakarta. And it also caters for corporate events, parties, and wedding receptions. We also have our food processing and distribution plant. Originally it served only as a central kitchen of our fast food business, but then we've had many requests from other restaurants, many from other hotels and other catering companies, as well as supermarkets. Last year, we had the honor to have the Honorable Mark Verner, the Queensland's Minister of Agricultural Industry Development and Fisheries, visiting our plant. During his visit, he had the opportunity to see how Queensland beef being used to make bakso, the Indonesian popular meatballs and sausages. Before the pandemic, we used to produce up to 24 tons of sausages a day. But now it's down to about 30% of that, unfortunately. So our family also owns a small hotel in Pekalongan in Central Java. There are 90 rooms in the hotel. It used to be my father's home, but we turned it into a hotel with the original building kept as the lobby of the hotel. So as you can see, we have quite an extensive experience in many areas of the hospitality industry. Over the years, we have learned that the key to success in this industry is the quality of the human resources. If you want your company to be competitive, you have to have skillful and well-trained staff. But with up to 2,000 employees in our companies, it's kind of hard to have everybody to have the right skills. It's easier said than done. But we believe that if we can continuously train the staff, we will get to the point where we are better than the rest of the competitors. We faced challenges in the over the years operating the businesses. These are some of the challenges that we face. Many young candidates applying for jobs in the workforce are not ready to operate F&B businesses efficiently and effectively. Many of them don't have the communication and soft skills necessary in serving customers from different backgrounds. And it seems that there is a gap between the skills taught in many of the local hospitality schools and what are required in the industry. And at the same time, the demand for skillful workers is high. Hence, there is a high turnover of staff that needs continuous training. So that's why in 2012, when we were building our headquarters, we decided to have a good modern training center inside our own head office. So as you can see, we built a training kitchen, a proper training kitchen, and a lecture room and a few other classrooms in our office. In the beginning, we only conducted training sessions for our own staff, teaching them the company's SOPs and recipes. But then we decided to upgrade that and run BNS-based courses as well, and give opportunities to our staff to get professional certification by the BNSP as incentives and also as a career development option for the staff. Since we already had the facility and also the BNSP classes, we thought, why not offer the courses to public as well? So that's when we decided to offer the courses to the public, especially those who are already in the workforce, but seeking to upgrade their skills, and also those who want to enter the industry, maybe from a different job. And we came up with the name AIPRO. And at that time, we were still not fully satisfied with the courses that we ran. We were looking for a certification or a course that can also gives knowledge to the students about food safety, how to monitor HACCP, worker safety, and also the F&B business management. And that is why I looked around and I contacted a few of my friends in Australia, and I met Janelle from TAFE Queensland, who was happy to work together with us. And so we decided to start with the offering Australian Certificate 3 in commercial cookery. So since 2018, we've had classes with a number of students, not from our own staff, but from the public. And TAFE Queensland has sent a couple of their trainers and also assessors to help us in assessing those students to get their Certificate 3 in commercial cookery. So now AIPRO offers BNSP and also at the same time the Certificate 3 in commercial cookery. The challenge for us was that we didn't have qualified trainer or assessor from Australia. But I'm happy to say that now our general manager, Stephanie Di Pareja, is finishing her study in Certificate 4 in Training and Assessment. So she will receive her certificate by the end of this year. So next year, we will have our own certified trainer and assessor, and we can offer more of the Australian TAFE courses next year. And hopefully later we can also offer a pathway to the students for further education in Australia. And also another good achievement is that I'm happy to say that some of our students have been recruited in some of the hotels around the area, and also some of our staff. Actually, many of our staff have been hijacked by other F&B companies who, because our staff is kind of known to be well trained and equipped with the right skills. So it's kind of a good problem to have, but we are proud to have that training program. So. And I'm just going to show you some of the photos of our activities in AIPRO. Oops. And we also ran short courses, usually on weekends. For example, pastry class for the kids. And here are some of the BNSP graduates. Here you go. So in closing, I just would like to say, that I strongly believe that there are still many opportunities for Australian education institutes to work together with their Indonesian partners in providing good quality vocational training programs in Indonesia, because the demand is very high. And hopefully when this pandemic is over, both sides can work together more intensely in establishing the courses or the programs here in Indonesia. I think it's a good turning point where we can start fresh and go ahead in the future with better commitments from both sides. So thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Janelle and Andrew. It was great to hear your story of a partnership, and I particularly liked to know how Andrew's family business came into being. I wish I could come to Indonesia to try this drink, which looks amazing. So please, I'm very frustrated that we cannot travel for a while, but as soon as we can, I'll be there. So we have roughly 20 minutes for some questions and answers. So I would like to maybe start by a question to all of you. So we have heard the benefits of some of the partnerships, and I think what is on people's minds is how to make this work in this new reality that we find ourselves in, with limited travel possibilities, with new challenges for the tourism and hospitality sector. Could you maybe comment, and whoever wants to go first, please, go on. Could you comment on how do you see these partnerships between Australia and Indonesia be able to support the sector and support the Indonesian tourism and hospitality sector in this challenging time?
So I'll start, thanks Eva. I think we need to underpin it first with the fact that choosing your right partner is really important. There are plenty of people who want to work with Australian TAFEs, but choosing and going through the due diligence of choosing the right partner is a vital part of the success, the potential for success for anything that we do. It certainly is a new world, and whilst, you know, I'm sure Wayne will agree, we've had to change the way we deliver and what we deliver in the domestic world. The same occurs for our offshore partnerships. So COVID-19 has brought in a whole new way of learning, a whole new way of living, and we have to train people to be ready to be able to, you know, work in this new world, where it might be that you can't train face to face, that you can't necessarily train in a practical way that we are also used to, that you have to work out other ways of doing it in a virtual environment to be able to still meet the needs of industry. Another big roadblock is that industry has obviously downsized in that, particularly the tourism and hospitality area. And so it means that they don't have the ability to take placements, you know, for our students to be able to gain their practical component. So it is very much a new world. I think the important thing is that as partners, you need to work together to understand what will work in each other's markets and to understand what will be the best for the student. We have found, even in this short space of time, that you know, you have to do a blend of a whole range of different things, because people who are in lockdown somewhere don't have the opportunity to be able to even entertain coming face to face. People who have lost their part-time job can't do their practical experience. So it is about having new ways to be able to deliver the content that still makes it authentic for the student.
Thanks, Janelle.
Ever, if I can just say a couple of words. Look, there's no doubt that I think we've all mentioned that things are different. The way forward is going to be different to what it was before. But I think there's every opportunity to continue to develop partnerships that are beneficial for all involved. And Janelle's words about selecting the right partner is crucial. You need to be like-minded. You need to want to achieve the same quality outcomes. And as we've all had to learn very quickly this year, where there has been very little face-to-face delivery, we have still been able to deliver outcomes for our students that enable them to get the skills and knowledge they need for the qualifications that they're studying. A real challenge, yes, but we've been able to do it successfully. The fact that our industry is significantly depressed at the moment hasn't helped that. And I think certainly the experiences I've had with a number of our partnerships in different countries, the tourism and hospitality industry is pretty unique in that everybody, being the customer, but also the business operators, are very keen to get back engaging again. Everyone's been locked up, everyone's got fatigue with Zoom and whatever other mechanism you're using to undertake not only education, but sometimes your social interaction. So I think everybody's waiting for the industry to be able to revive itself, rejuvenate. And a couple of points that I mentioned in my presentation is that the industry will be different. It's still going to be delivering the same outcomes though. It's still going to be delivering experiences for customers. Those experiences might have to be a little different, and we might need to be creative in the way that we do that. But Indonesia, Australia, we're all going to face the same challenges. And I think the way to overcome those challenges is to work together, to learn from each other, to build on each other's strengths, so that in my very simple math, sometimes 1 + 1 can make a lot more than 2. And I think our industry has got a real opportunity to get some benefit out of cooperation, of partnerships. And, you know, here's some examples of the two countries working together. Both TAFE Queensland and ourselves have been doing it for quite a long time. I'm sure we're going to be doing it for quite a long time in the future as well. And it's really about making sure we remain engaged and that we do find partners that we're able to work with confidently.
Thanks, Wayne. And before I pass the floor to Andrew and Eddy, I would just like to throw in an additional question on what new skills, needs have you seen in your areas, or if you're in your subsectors of the tourism and hospitality sector that you think need to be addressed? And then obviously the question more generally about how can partnerships respond to these needs and address these needs. Thanks. Who would like to start?
I'll keep going if you like. See, I'm not muted yet. Look, I mentioned industry is going to be different. We're all going to face space issues. So where we were able to get lots of people together to have unique experiences, that's going to be different in the future. I still think the fundamentals are going to be required. So your customer is wanting an outcome. Your customer is wanting experience. Those experiences might change slightly. So the trick for the future is to understand who your customer is, to identify what they want, and to be able to make sure that you deliver the outcome that they're looking for. That business model is not new, but I just think there will be differences in the way people want to do things. Like there's probably a couple of different target markets at the moment. We've got people who are, we've got people who are very keen to start engaging again, and they're not concerned. They're adventurers. They're not concerned that COVID-19 might get hold of them. There are others who are quite concerned about that. So there are going to be different products for different sectors of the market, and it's really a matter about identifying who your customer is so that you can deliver those outcomes for them.
And Eva, can I just add to what Wayne has said? I think the other big difference is going to be the training of our trainers. So to train, our trainers will need to be very au fait with doing virtual delivery. Does that mean that they change the way they deliver a little bit? How do they keep the students engaged? So I think that focus on being able to support the trainers will be a crucial thing into the future, because if we don't have that and they just expect to be able to deliver as if they're delivering face-to-face, it probably won't be successful. Excuse me, the other advantage of working with Indonesia is from the president down, he's very much about skills development. So that's a big plus, and if we're talking about this market alone, there are very few markets where from the top levels down, the vocational training or skills development really has as much voice, in the sector. So I think that's a fabulous opportunity for both Australia and Indonesia.
Andrew, if you don't mind, I saw you nodding your head when Janelle was talking about training trainers for online delivery. Maybe that refers to some lived experience on your side. So could you maybe comment on this?
Well, yeah. Honestly, it was expensive for a training provider like us in Indonesia to have to bring in trainers or assessors regularly from Australia. I mean, if that can be done by online, some parts of the activities done online, or the communication part, I think that will save a lot of cost for us as a partner in Indonesia. I mean, yeah. That will help for us to be able to reduce the fees to the students as well.
And Eddy, maybe a question to you. So talking about the silver lining of COVID-19 and some of the benefits that came out of it, including, you know, the development of maybe more online or virtual training. Do you think that could have some added value into the regional cooperation and the development of these common skills within the ASEAN countries?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we should look at. Actually, even before COVID-19 happened, there are already several proposals coming in when I was in the Secretariat to offer for digital training, which provide more automatic hand-on training that take place can be in industry. But I think because of this COVID-19, I think we should look at this more seriously on the opportunity that would take place, because I think this is the way that industry will be heading on the challenges that coming in. This situation itself, actually, for myself, is just, I don't know, it's a temporary pause for all of us. Even in Indonesia case, for example, we are not really over the COVID-19 situation. Even in Indonesia, compared to ASEAN country, I think is the most in terms of cases. But like, for example, in the last week, we had long weekend in Indonesia. And I myself in AirAsia, very lucky that our flight is full. And even we have to add extra flight just to cater these people want to really get out from the current situation and visit other places in Indonesia and domestically. So I think from this, it indicates that people are still willing to travel. I think once the vaccine is available, and of course borders are opening up, I think we might come back to that situation, of course, step by step. And therefore, I think in terms of training, there's a big opportunity now, because we are learning from these challenges and the situation on how the need of the training should be crafted according to the challenges that might happen also again in the future. I think that's one thing. And the other thing is actually, I think from the point of view from the industry side, maybe we have to also give some backup skills, like for example, entrepreneurship. So as when they have this situation, that it can be really ready and cope with the situation itself independently as they're independent. I think that's my 2 cents for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a follow-up on question, and it relates to what was mentioned earlier in soft skills, communication skills. I think Andrew was talking about this. We've known for a while that this was, sometimes it's called the 21st century skills, the interpersonal problem-solving skills, etc., etc. How do you see these skills, you know, the need for these skills in this new environment where, as Wayne said, maybe there's more customer service and more problem solving, you know, in how to manage people and how to make the businesses COVID safe. So could you comment on these new types of training needs and how to cater for them?
Well, most of the customer service or communication with customers is done digitally these days. So our staff has to be ready to answer all questions, comments, reviews, or complaints from customers digitally and very quickly. You know, because they if they don't like the food they're eating now, they will send it through one of the social media platforms, and everybody gets it, and they have to the staff has to deal with it straight away. That's a skills that has to be trained, and the staff has to be used to it, gets used to it, you know. Yeah, people will still go to the restaurants, people will still stay in the hotels, but they will complain and they will give their review digitally. So we have to deal with that.
So I wonder, Janelle and or Wayne, if you could comment on how to teach these skills, you know, because it's so soft, it's so intangible. Do you have any comments on, you know, what could be on offer for people to upskill, or for people on the job already to get upskills in those?
Yeah, look, I think it's a really important aspect of anything that we train in, that those soft skills, those customer service skills are front of mind, you know, in everything that we do. Even for our own staff, you know, it is about making sure that you have the right people that are in the front-facing roles. I think the cultural fit, and I don't mean as in where you were born, but a cultural fit for the job and the industry is an important part. I think I've learned over the years that some people are meant to be front of house people because they can think on their feet. They have a calmness about them that's needed. They listen, they're empathetic, they're supportive. Other people just don't. They're meant to be in back of house roles where, you know, they might be the processor or the administrator. And I think it is, as managers and supervisors, it's really important to be able to identify who's right in the role, and then you can teach those people. People inherently have the skills, or they don't, is my personal belief. And if they do have the skills, you can train them to be able to enhance those skills, how to create better opportunities for customer service and listening. But if someone doesn't inherently have them, it's really hard. And in Australia, we say to teach an old dog new tricks. You know, it is a really difficult proposition to get that person in the right headspace. So yeah, there are plenty of opportunities to deliver soft skills, and I think they should be, you know, underpinning everything that we deliver, particularly in the tourism and hospitality training area. But, you know, I think it is about the individual, the right individual in the right role as well.
Great.
So just to follow on with that, I think we're really lucky that we're working in the tourism and hospitality industry, which is fundamentally a people business. And it is about communication, and it is about experience. And as Andrew mentioned before, you give a customer a bad experience. You know, we used to talk about word of mouth many moons ago. Now the whole world knows about it in 5 minutes. So the customer experience is so important these days, and we don't have the opportunities not to give a good one anymore. We're either going to be our own best advertisement, or our business will close. Yes, communication is different in the digital age and with social media, but still the fundamental aspects prevail. Give a customer a good experience, the customer will like it, and they will tell others. It's just nowadays they can tell a lot more people much faster than what they were able to years ago. But as long as we deliver the outcome, our business will grow and be successful.
Wonderful, thanks for that. I see that our time is running short, but there would be many more topics to cover. So what I suggest is, well, thank you first of all to the participants to this webinar to have registered and attended it. And I would like to suggest that some of the participants who have some questions or would like to get in touch with you and haven't been able to do so, that we pass, either they contact us or we pass you contact details, if that's okay, in a follow-up email to see. So to everyone, please don't hesitate. So we will send you a follow-up email asking for some feedback or any questions you may have, and don't hesitate to respond, letting us know if you want to learn anything more about, you know, any of the topics covered in the presentation, or any of the organizations that have presented today. If you'd like to know more about other Australian TAFEs that weren't represented today, or if you have any ideas or any interest in developing some partnerships with Australian TAFEs. And I would like to thank our participants and our speakers in particular very much for taking the time to talk about you know, the future of skills and the new normal. It's great to hear such a good success story. We really hope that we'll get to some kind of COVID normal as soon as possible, and we'll be able to come and try excellent, you know, delicacies in our respective countries, and in the meantime, great to be able to continue our collaboration online. So many thanks for your time and for your input into this